One of the things I was told severally when I got to the UK was to get a credit card, and that without it, I wouldn't be able to access mortgage or a car loan or, whatever loan if I wanted. And of course, I believed it, only for me to realize it was another generic advice that doesn't apply to everyone and everything. And to know that some people have gotten, locked up in credit card debt with high interest that continues to suck them in is truly, truly sad. Lenders generally look at your overall creditworthiness, not just your credit card. It includes your ability to repay debt, your ability to meet up your short-term obligations as at when due. For sure, credit card helps, but where it is misused, it will harm you in so many ways. Any strikes you have on your credit file will remain there for 6 years, and even if all the money you owed has been paid, this will be seen by lenders every time you apply for a new form of credit and a hard search is done, and this would impact your credit score. This impact, however, reduces, as you get closer to the 6 years. But even at that, that's a long time to have this hanging on your credit worthiness. Let me quickly talk about hard check and soft check. A soft check is a quick look at your credit file that doesn't affect your credit score. It's often used to give you a quote or eligibility estimates. That's why you will find your mortgage advisor say sometimes, don't worry, we will do a soft check. This wouldn't impact your credit score. So cases where this is being used sometimes is, for example, if a background check is being done by your employers or by your landlord or your mobile provider, this won't impact your credit score. On the other hand, a hard check is a full detailed look at your credit report that lenders use to make a decision about lending to you. For example, this is done when you're applying for a credit card or you're applying for a mortgage or you're applying for a loan. This will leave a footprint on your credit file and may also impact your credit score. So you want to make sure that you hardly do this hard check, and if you do it many times in a short time, it will portray you as very desperate for credit. So if you have a credit card and you don't want it to ruin your credit score, so you can use it for whatever it is you want to use it for, you should be mindful of 3 things. Your credit utilization ratio. I didn't know about this myself until I read the book I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. Very good book, very, very good book. You see, those who advised me to get credit card didn't tell me this, and I bet they didn't tell you too. Credit card utilization is the percentage of your available credits that you are actually using. So let's say you have a credit card with a £1,000 limit and your balance is 500. Your utilization is 500 divided by 1,000, and that means your utilization is 50%. That means you're using 50% of your available credit. This is one of the most important factors affecting your credit score. In fact, according to Experian UK, this takes up 30% of your credit score calculation. By the way, Experian UK is one of the 3 main credit reference agencies in the United Kingdom. We also have Equifax and TransUnion. These agencies collect and manage information about your financial behavior to create your credit report and then your credit score, which lenders can then use to decide whether to approve your application for credit or not. A 30% utilization is seen as a good utilization, 10% is seen as excellent, 50% is seen as risky, 90% is very, very risky. So even if you're paying on time, a high utilization ratio can drop your credit score because it then shows that you're over dependent on the credit card. So let me tell you the mistake I made earlier this year. American Express, the card provider that I use, sent me an email to say I qualify for a higher limit, basically doubling my limit. I thought, no worries, I don't want it. This was before I read Ramit Sethi's book. I realized afterwards it was a mistake. It would have dropped my credit utilization rate. Going by that example I gave of 500 divided by 1,000, which gives 50% utilization. If that had grown to 2,000 limits, it would have been 25%, and that would have been a good or a better, utilization rate, which is good for the credit score. But we learn every day. The second one I should tell you about is never pay the minimum. This is the silent trap that keeps so many immigrants and, frankly, a lot of people stuck in a cycle of never-ending debt. Paying the minimum really does help keep your credit score ticking. And that's why most people think it's okay. But to be honest, it it's not a favor. It's a profit strategy for the bank. So if you only pay the minimum, you're paying the interest. You're not clearing your balance. You're paying the interest and maybe a tiny bit of, the principal. You still have a lot to pay back. And then this keeps you in debt longer. You pay more over time, and this is money that you could be using for saving or investing. I have used credit card for years now, and my golden rule is that I never buy what I cannot pay off in full by the end of the month. If I cannot pay it in full, then I cannot afford it. And this is because once you start playing that game of, oh, I'll just pay the minimum, I'll just pay the minimum, I'll just pay the minimum, then it becomes a habit. And you see, habits like that can land you into financial woes that will be so hard to climb out of. So if you use a credit card, use it with discipline. Pay in full when due, or at least pay more than the minimum. And if you are struggling with using a credit card, just stop using it for now until you get back on track and you can manage, the way you use your credit card. Because you see those minimum payments, they are maximum trap. Okay, the third one, which is the last one. You have to be mindful of the illusion of progress. For many immigrants, especially those still trying to find their feet, I understand that credit can feel like a lifeline. It gives you power to say yes to things that you should ordinarily say no to. This thing that looks like an opportunity can quickly become a trap. So the fact that you can buy all these things on credit does not mean that you are actually owning more. It just means that you are owing more. Yeah, you own those items, but you also owe. You owe, which is in itself is not bad if you manage it well. I would rather say true progress is having your investments growing, having your assets appreciating, reducing your liabilities, cutting your coat according to your cloth, building an emergency fund. That's real progress. That should be the target. And if you think, I don't know how I can do without relying on credit card to cover my expenses, then you need to watch this next video on how to manage your money like the top 1%, and I'll see you there.